Waiting is my number one activity. If I charted out how I spent my time on any given day, there'd be lots to tell you about, but what I did the most? Waiting. No question. When I've been sitting so long that I start to stare off into space, or when I feel like I'm too busy to breathe, I'm waiting. It's the program that's always running in the background. If it was any other activity, considering how much time I spend waiting, you'd think I'd be good at it. I'm not. If I poured the same number of hours into a hobby, you'd think I was addicted to it. I'm not. I can quit whenever I want. But that doesn't make any difference if I'm waiting for something that's outside of my control. I can decide I'm done waiting, but most of the time, it's not really up to me. We all have to wait sometimes. I'm 11 years old. It's the first week of summer break. My brother and I pile into the back of our mom's conversion van, along with half the kids in our neighborhood, and we drive into town. The city pool is open today. And we pull up, and I'm telling you, this isn't some backyard above ground imitation. This is the real deal. 6 lap swim lanes, 12-foot deep ends, 2 diving boards. I'm rushing as fast as I can. I push my way through the ticket booth, rinse off in the showers, and slow down long enough for my mom to put some sunscreen on me before I head off to the diving board. There's a long, long line. I have to wait. It's finally my turn, and as soon as I put one foot on the ladder, the whistle blows. Adult swim. Time to wait again. You don't have to read very far into Isaiah to figure out that the Israelites have screwed up. Big time. God's upset. And the writing's on the wall. They're heading off to exile, whether they like it or not. A place that they'll be for years and years, waiting to return to their homeland. God gives Isaiah this vision of a tree that gets cut down. All that's left is a stump, and that stump is burned. But all's not lost. Deep inside that stump, there's still hope. A seed hidden inside that will spring up, a shoot that will be the restoration of Israel. God promises to restore, redeem, and return Israel to its rightful place. And so he gives Isaiah this picture of a day where they will all return and celebrate together. On that day, God's people will say these words: "Surely God is my salvation. I will trust and not be afraid. The Lord himself is my strength and my defense. He has become my salvation. With joy you will draw water from the wells of salvation. In that day you will say, 'Give praise to the Lord, proclaim his name, make known among the nations what he has done, and proclaim that his name is exalted. Sing to the Lord, for he has done glorious things. Let this be known to all the world. Shout aloud and sing for joy, people of Zion, for great is the Holy One of Israel among you.'" And that sounds good and all, but I don't know how I deal with that. I just don't know. Because waiting changes you. Something about waiting makes all of this seem like it's just for me. I've been waiting and waiting and waiting. I deserve this, don't I? I'm entitled to this. Why do I have to share it with someone else? It's one thing to want to share it with your friends and family, but God says that something else is going to happen altogether. That Israel is going to be the source of salvation and renewal and refreshment and redemption for the nations around it. The same nations that enslaved them in the first place. The same nations that took them off to exile. I don't know if I'd be on board with that. See, waiting brings out the selfishness that's deep down inside of us that says, I've put in my time. I've earned this. I've paid for this with all the years and hours and days. It's my turn. It's my turn. So when that whistle blares again and Adult Swim is over, I'm next in line. I'm not giving up my spot. I'm standing there waiting. I look around, and standing around the pool are all these folks that I know from school. My friends, the folks that I talked to and hung out with. My best friends that I went to church with. My neighborhood buddies. And then folks that I knew from school only because they were in trouble all the time. The folks that picked fights for no reason. The folks that were smoking in the bathrooms whenever I was studying. The folks that called me names behind my back and to my face. I'm supposed to give up my spot for them? Well, the thing is, you don't have to give up your spot. You just have to share. We all get to participate in this. We all get to drink from this fountain of salvation that God is bringing. Are you willing to open yourself up to that, though? That's the question. Are you willing to let another person sit at that table with you? A few chapters later, God raises the stakes. He says that whenever His work is finished, Egypt will be called His people too. That God's work is expanding and reaching out and including people that we would never include before. The folks that enslaved them in Egypt will be included and called God's people as well. God says, on that day, I will count Israel third among all my people before Assyria and Egypt. Third place. Maybe God asks us to share these gifts because they're too big for one person to enjoy. There's no room for selfishness. There's no point in being selfish because I can't take in all that God wants to do. It has to be shared. What God wants to do in your life and my life was never meant to stay private. It's always meant to be shared. Just look at the fruit of the Spirit. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. At the end of the day, those aren't meant to be something that we keep to ourselves. They are gifts to be shared with the people around us. Every gift that God gives is a gift to be shared. What are you waiting for? I challenge you to look around and ask yourself, could this really be all for me? Or is this meant to be shared? Because every good gift that God gives is too big for one person to enjoy on their own. May you go and share these good gifts of God with the world that is hungry and thirsty for more.